Hello and happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Boss Boardroom, where we share valuable knowledge curated just for you small business owners to help you more effectively market your business. I'm your host, Bobbi Baehne, and this episode is brought to you by the digital marketing experts at Think Big, Go Local. So listen, you guys know the routine. We would love for you to like this video, comment if you've got something to contribute, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything else that is coming up in our future podcasts. So today we're going to be talking about ChatGPT. We're actually talking about 15 ways that you can use this tool to be a more savvy small business owner, save yourself tons and tons of time and tons of brain power. So I want to lead this off by saying that I've really kind of created this content for those of you that either haven't tried it yet, maybe you're just intimidated and you have no idea what to do, or maybe you've jumped in, you've taken a look, but you're really not sure how exactly you should be using it. I'm going to straighten this all out for you. So you ready? Let's jump into this. Okay, so I want you to know, first of all, that there is a free version of ChatGPT and there is a paid version of ChatGPT. I went in and asked my ChatGPT, which, by the way, I do pay for because I use it so much. Let me tell you what the differences are. So right off the bat, you can make that decision. By the way, the cost is pretty minimal. It's $20 a month, I believe. And if you think about the fact that you can literally use it like a personal assistant, a business coach, an analyst, all the things you can do with it, it is probably the best $20 you may ever spend. So keep that in mind. So what do you get with the free version? So the free version is available to everybody, but it's got a couple of things that you need to be aware of. So first of all, it's a little bit more subject to constraints when it's really busy. It may be too busy to give you answers, and that was one of the reasons I upgraded as well. I would ask it questions and it couldn't answer me because the server was just swamped. Because if you've been paying any attention, ChatGPT grew in about 4 days to what Facebook took a decade to grow their audience to. So it was pretty busy on that server. So you may run into problems like that, especially at peak usage times. The other thing is the response speed is a little bit slower. So you just have to be a little bit more patient. It might not be typing quite as fast. So maybe not a huge deal. They also have a few less features that are available compared to the paid version. So as they roll things out, and this changes all the time, the paid version may get certain features first, or features that they're not going to make available to free payers. For example, when DALL-E 3 first integrated, I don't think that was available to free users. It is now available definitely to paid users, maybe free. I'm actually not sure. So things like that are part of, you're not going to get if you have the free version. And then there's also limits in the free version as to how many questions that you may answer, how much interaction you may do. So they may cap you off if you're using it a lot. With the paid version, you get priority access. It obviously runs faster. You've got features that are only available to you if you pay. You have increased usage limits. So the chance that you're going to end up being shut down for the month and not be able to use it is pretty slim. And depending on the plan that you have, they do have additional customers and tech support with the paid version as well. So just know that you've got those two different options. I also just want to mention, because AI is being integrated into so many places. I mean, it's amazing. And you can use that AI as well for some of the same things that we would be using our ChatGPT account for. But so as an example, Google has AI built in now. It'll help you do some writing, that sort of thing, but you don't get the opportunity to customize it. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And to do quite as much review or be quite as robust with all the things it does for you. So while you're going to see AI everywhere, I love ChatGPT because I can really train the tool to talk like my business, think like my business, that sort of thing. Where you can't do that when it's just integrated to other apps quite the same way. So be aware of that. I also want you to know, and this is way more advanced than what we're going to talk about today, but I got to mention it, that you can actually integrate ChatGPT using their API into all kinds of other tools. You can integrate it into your website. You can integrate it into a chatbot, so it is actually responding appropriately to customers for you. There's all sorts of things that you can do with it. So I'm not going to talk about those complicated things here today, but I want you to be aware of what it can do. One thing I love about ChatGPT, and if you have, I believe, paid or free version of this, down at the bottom in the settings, if you open it up, it says customize your ChatGPT. I really want to encourage you guys to do that because it allows you to really let it know what kind of business you have, the kinds of things you're going to use it for, a little bit about yourself, about your brand, about the way you want them to respond, the tone that you want them to respond in, all kinds of things that you can input that will create a more personal experience. Now, sometimes you have to remind ChatGPT when you're using some prompts about what you do, exactly what you're looking for, maybe remind it a little bit about some of your brand things, your brand voice, things like that. But go ahead and set that up right off the bat when you're working with ChatGPT. It's going to be really helpful. And then keep this in mind. Utilizing this tool, I want you to think about it as kind of a new intern or a new hire that you have in your business. Right from day one, it's your job to give it really clear instructions. Let it know exactly what you want it to do. Let it know exactly what you want the outcome to be. And then you have to practice, right? Using it frequently. So if you do those things and you're using your Chat GPT on a daily basis, your results are going to get better and better all the time because, well, you're actually building a relationship with this little tool and it's getting to know you. It's getting to know things that you like, things that you've asked it to change. So if you think about it that way, this is an amazing tool for small businesses. And we're going to dive in and give you some ways to utilize it here in 1 second. Before I do that, I have to give you a few warnings about using this tool. Things that have happened to me already and things that will inevitably happen to you too. So, first and foremost, I want you to know that they don't update ChatGPT really all that frequently. So, the last major update, according to ChatGPT this morning, was in April of 2023. So, that was a year ago. Prior to that, their learning model had only gone up to, I believe, the end of 2021. Now, everything that it's learned and the learning model goes up through April of 2023, right? So you should be aware of that. It's not the place to go for current events. So if you went in right now and asked it who the president was, it will tell you that as of April of 2023, the president was Joe Biden, probably still is since we haven't had an election yet, but just want you to realize this isn't your current events sort of a place to go. Another thing you need to be really aware of when you use this tool is that it can be inaccurate, sometimes really inaccurate. Quick little story that made me look like a complete ass. I have a client, really exciting. They're a corn maze out in Oklahoma called Annabelle's Fun Farm, by the way. Little shout out. They're amazing. And in Oklahoma, there's quite a few corn mazes. They really struggled over the past few years. So Reba McEntire partnered with these corn mazes. She created custom videos for them. It was really awesome. We got to work with her team to promote the corn maze. And in the process, we're running contests and creating social content and all the things you would do, right? One of the things I did was to do some trivia. Whoever won was going to win some free Reba. She has a new book, a new album, all kinds of cool stuff. So I asked ChatGPT for a list of trivia questions and answers about Reba McEntire, the country star, right? Gives me a whole list of questions and answers. And one of them, I was like, I didn't know that. So, of course, that's the one I use. Well, guess what? It was not true. So it made me look bad. Had I actually done a little more research before I posted that, it most definitely would have, kind of saved face. Fortunately, my client was fine with it. We all got a good laugh out of trying to use new technology, but just be aware that there can be a lot of inaccuracies. And let's see, Kent's jumping in here and says he uses it for work. Great way to get help with ideas and wording for projects. That's exactly some of the stuff we're going to talk about, Kent. He says he needs to put his flavor on it, but it's pretty solid. It's really solid, and you can really train it to know the way you speak, if you're sarcastic, like that sort of thing. I actually also encourage you, when you're talking to ChatGPT and you're looking for a certain voice as your response, let it know in your prompt. So the more specific you get in your prompts as to exactly what you're looking for, how you want it to be stated, the tone of voice you want it to be used for. You can tell it exactly who your target audience is for, the purpose of it, and what you're hoping for an outcome. And you'll find it's going to get better and better every single time. So those prompts are huge in getting a really good end result. Okay, so now that we said all that, one more last warning. ChatGPT can most definitely become a little biased over time. So if you're, it's one thing I struggle with slightly, because I'm often asking it questions for my clients, which means I have to change that whole tone and things like that if we're brainstorming or writing some content. And so it'll kind of switch things up for my brand then. So it's kind of easily influenced, like maybe a junior high school student can be sometimes. All right. So keep those things in mind. Now let's dive in. I know that I said I had 15 ways to help you use ChatGPT, but I've got a few bonuses in here, because as I was going through my list, I realized these are the things I use it for, if not daily, definitely weekly. So let's dive in, tell you some things that you can use this tool for. As Kent mentioned, this is my favorite way to use ChatGPT, is for brainstorming. It is, I often have to change things up a little bit, but I absolutely love it for this. So, a few examples of just things I've most recently used it for. I'll go in there and remind it, hey, I own this digital marketing agency. This is my account. I do a podcast every Friday. My target audience is small business owners. My purpose for this podcast is to help them better market their business. And I'm looking for a list of topics that would be relevant to those individuals. Could you give me a list of at least a dozen ideas? Now, I like to tell them how many I want, because sometimes they'll only give me one. Then I got to go type again, and that's dumb. So be really specific, and it'll give me that whole list. Now I can take what I want from it, or leave it there. So then here's another thing you can do. You can actually have one thing you need to know is you're actually having a conversation with ChatGPT. This isn't a once I'm asking you a question and you give me a response like might happen in a Google search. This is actually back and forth conversation. So say it gives me a list and I love the title for number 6. And let's say the title for number 6 is 15 ways that you can use ChatGPT in your business. I can simply say, I love the idea you have in number 6. Could you give me a list of 15 things that we could do? Right. So, and then it'll give me the list. And then maybe I see one of them. I'm like, oh, number 3 is amazing. Could you also write me a blog post? Because I'd love to share that information on my website. And it'll write you the whole blog post. So you can actually go back and forth. ChatGPT is very aware of what it told you. And so you can respond just like you are having a conversation. So brainstorming is one of my favorite ways to do it. I use it to come up with blog post ideas. We use it to brainstorm titles for workshops, webinars, presentations. ChatGPT is really good at it. So, and if there's words that I like, I can ask it to include certain words because I know I want that in my titles or in my ideas. So, great use of ChatGPT. Kent says, I know of some authors who have used it to write books. Let me tell you another little story, because I used it to write a book too, but it was a little different. So for Christmas, this was literally a month after ChatGPT came out. For Christmas, I got my grandchildren tickets to go see a Dr. Seuss play. And to make it a fun experience, we were making it a whole package. We got Dr. Seuss stuff that we're going to have their tickets in, and they were all going to spend the night at my house afterwards. We were going to make green eggs and ham for breakfast. We were going to watch the Grinch Who Stole Christmas while they were over. So we had a whole plan. We were going to make this a whole Dr. Seuss evening when they went to see this play. To add to the gift, I wanted to write them all a book, which was ultimately the invitation to come spend the night at Grandma's house for this the show. I had explained the whole situation to ChatGPT, told them what we were doing. I gave them the names of all my grandkids, our whole little agenda, and it wrote a little kid's book outlining all the adventures we were going to have from the moment they got to my house, watching the movie, making green eggs and ham, seeing the play. It was so darn cute. And then I took it to a whole new level because at that time, Canva, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with Canva if you're not using it for your graphics, had just launched their Magic Write and some new tools, and they do text to image AI generation. At that time, it wasn't great, but it did great for this. I looked at the book, and one of the descriptions, just as an example, was as we went into grandma's, there was a lion with a rainbow colored mane, and it described, this little adventure we're having. I fed that line into Canva and it created the images to go with the book. So the grandkids got a book fully customized with their names in it, the experience they were going to have. It was a really fun gift and they absolutely loved it. So, yeah, you can definitely use it to write books as well. Okay, let's dive into my number 2. Ken says that's cool. It's cool. Content creation. So content is a lot of things. We've mentioned a few of these already. You can use it to write blog posts. You can use it to write newsletters or segments of newsletters, or even give you newsletter ideas. You can use it to write social media content. I use it to write social media content quite frequently. I'll tell you why. I have a live music venue that we market, and every weekend, the bands are very, very different. They're different in the type of music, the type of audience they attract. So it can be really challenging to ever really know that business or that audience enough to be super comfortable writing great content, because sometimes the audience is 21 years old because we've got some popular rapper, and sometimes they're 62 years old because we've got an old 70s tribute band that everybody's going to love, right? So it's kind of hard as a marketer to always know exactly how to address those audiences. So I use it all the time for that purpose. And the cool thing about ChatGPT now versus when it launched is it will go crawl the web and it'll learn a whole lot more now than it used to be able to about the bands, who listens to them, what their songs are. It'll even put some of their lyrics into the post. So super cool thing to do. But again, I never copy and paste what ChatGPT gives to me for a couple reasons. One, they use too many emojis, if you ask me. I need to remind them not to use so many. So I need to edit those out. I also need to make very sure that the venue, that it sounds like it's coming from us, that it sounds similar to our other posts, even though we're trying to attract a certain audience. And they also often, if you do a great job describing, they'll put some little parentheses in there with things that you need to fill out. So they're helping you, but they're also literally saying, don't forget to customize this. So pay attention so you don't post something that needed you to replace it in that content. But it's awesome for getting you started, especially with content creation. I use it all the time for blogs, but again, I go in there and manually make some changes, make sure it sounds like us, add links, internal links, external links, all of those things that make a blog post successful. But it's a great, great way to get started. Another thing you can use, and this is similar, is if you're doing video content, if you're creating reels, whatever it might be, it'll write the full script for you. If you're getting ready to launch your first video and you want it to be an introductory welcome video on your website for your business, tell ChatGPT all about your business and ask it to write your script for you. You can customize it all you want, but it's a great way to just get started in what should I say? How impactful should the first sentence be? Those types of things, ChatGPT's got your back. Another thing, I don't use it for this often, but I do have some canned email responses that I keep in a thread in ChatGPT that I can go and grab for responses to emails sometimes. So things that you get asked frequently. We get job inquiries fairly frequently. I'm always typing the same response. So I had ChatGPT create a response that was appropriate for that purpose. And now I can just copy it, paste it in, and I'm not having to type out, a paragraph to anyone that inquires about a job. We have one for interns. So there's all kinds of ways that you can also customize that for your email responses. When you get a little better at this and you're a little more advanced, you're looking to do things, you can integrate it into some of your email platforms or CRMs to help you do even more with your emails. So know that it can do that too. It can also do market research for you. So you can ask it to gather and analyze information about industry trends, about competitors, about certain audience types, all sorts of different things. So if you're trying to learn something, it's great to go out into Google and ask that question. Oh, and by the way, you guys, have you noticed that the first response you get in Google to those kind of long form, long tail search inquiries now is not even coming from a real source. It's coming from Google's AI. Really, before ads, even it says right at the top, it'll give you the answer to the question you asked. That's generated by AI as well. So it is everywhere. But I think you need to keep that in mind too, because I'm starting to wonder if the same inaccuracies might exist in that Google space too. Okay, so market research. On to number 6, meeting summaries. This is awesome. You can actually type in any meeting notes and it'll summarize them. But if you noticed this yet, and I'm pretty sure it's powered by ChatGPT, if you're a Zoom user and you're having Zoom meetings, it's pretty funny. I was on a meeting with the college the other day, and there was what looked like a person in our meeting, and we had a big group. We had everybody else leave, and then a couple of us were going to continue on a private conversation, but this one person wouldn't get out of the Zoom room, and the person running the meeting is like, "Who is that?" She's calling them, and I'm like, "That is actually their AI bot. It is listening to our meeting because when you're done, it will give you a transcript and recap everything that was said in the meeting that was relevant." So it is also doing meeting summaries, converting things. Maybe you have a script and you want it turned into an outline. It'll do that for you too, simply in seconds. Another thing it's great for, and I have used it for this in the past, is writing training material for your business. So you've told ChatGPT all about who you are, what you do, and who you serve. And now you need some maybe employee handbook because you're growing and you need to get an employee handbook in your business. It'll write that for you. Of course, you're going to customize it and you're going to give it some parameters, but it'll write that for you. It'll also write training manuals. So if I were to say, here, maybe I already have a process developed, or I've made an outline and I need to turn it into actually a training module, I can give them my process and ask them to create a training of which I can go in and make sure it's all accurate, but it will actually write that whole thing out for you. It'll do frequently asked questions. So if you have a website and you would like to put an FAQ page on your website, first of all, I encourage you to make sure you know what your clients are asking you before you pop that page up so that you're putting those in there. But ask ChatGPT, tell them about your industry, who your audience is, and ask them what the most frequently asked questions would be that should be placed on your website, and to give you the answers as well. And it'll do that for you also. This one I have used and I love this feature. I told you about that live venue that is a client of ours. We recently had a Spanish rock and roll band. Super cool. I thought it was absolutely awesome. We've never done that before. And as I'm getting ready to write the ads, I realized that yes, Facebook has a translate feature, but I don't want people to have to click that. I want to produce that ad knowing who my target audience is and speaking in their language because I think it's courteous. I want to establish a good relationship. I want them to buy tickets to the show. So I wrote out what I had in our English ad. I just popped that right into ChatGPT and said, please turn this into Spanish. And in 1 second, it was done. So really cool for language translation. If you have clients in other places or you're trying to appeal to multiple or bilingual or someone of another language in any of your marketing, or even just in an email or a conversation. Another thing you can do, and this sounds a little bit more advanced, but it's way simpler than you think, is it will actually write code for website development for you. So I wanted to test this out. I don't write a lot of code. My business partner does, but it'll do a number of things. If something's broken, you can actually copy what code and pop it in there and ask them to ask ChatGPT to identify the problem. If you're trying to change like a style sheet and you just don't really know how, you can plug in the code and explain the changes that you want made, and it will tell you what you need to do. I have a client that is a bank, and they wanted a mortgage calculator on their website. I don't know anything about how to do that. I went into ChatGPT, explained what I needed, said, "Can you write me code so I can frame a mortgage calculator directly into this website?" And in 5 seconds, I had the code, plug it in, boom, there's your mortgage calculator on this website. So stupid cool. I was quite impressed. Another thing I didn't put on this list, so I'm jumping in here with a bonus while I'm thinking about it. I struggle sometimes when I can use Excel pretty well, but when I'm getting to higher functioning things, or there's something I wanted to do and I just don't use that feature enough to remember it, I will jump in and ask Chat GPT exactly how to create a certain formula or make a certain thing happen, and it'll write it all out for me. Another great use for it. Um, Legal document drafting. Now, this sounds a little bit scary. However, if you are looking to write something like an NDA for your company, contracts, maybe you're adding terms of service to the contract you already have, or maybe you want it to take a look at your terms of service and ask them if you've missed anything, you can ask ChatGPT. It will help you with that. Now, if it's really, really important, I would certainly encourage you to have your attorney look at that. Obviously, ChatGPT is not a lawyer, but it will do a great job helping you get started for those types of documents. And maybe someone reviews it and it costs you hundreds and hundreds of dollars less than having them write it for you. SEO research, another great way to use ChatGPT. So if you're not exactly sure the keywords that you should be utilizing in your content, or even hashtags that you should be using in social media, or just other keywords that should be in the metadata in your website, you can explain to ChatGPT what you want to rank for, who your business is, and they will help you to come up with those keywords. You can continue to ask it questions. Where should I place them? What's the best way for my website to be found utilizing these keywords? So you can actually have a conversation while you're going through getting all of this great data that you can utilize to make sure your business shows up over your competitors. Okay, so, man, these are a lot. There's a lot going on here. All right, so now we're at number 12 already. We're getting there. Product descriptions. If you have a particular product and you are looking to write a description about it for your e-commerce site, maybe you're selling it somewhere else on Etsy or whatever it may be, you can ask ChatGPT to write that product description for you. You give it, your you're going to give it your description, which isn't going to be polished whatsoever, and they'll really clean it up and make it really appealing for you. I like to use words when I'm using prompts for that. If it's a social media description, I'll actually say, I'm using this in social media. I want it to create engagement. I'm looking to have this particular post solve this particular problem for my client. So please include that in the description. So more information, better results. Okay, what else do we have here? So surveys and questionnaires. Surveys, polls, and questionnaires are amazing ways to learn from your audience, to generate new ideas, to engage people in conversation, or maybe just to learn how valuable a particular product or service is if you're doing some analyzation in your business about something new to offer or something to change, right? Explain what you're looking for to ChatGPT and ask them to create an unbiased survey for you. They'll give you all the questions, whether if you're going to do it as a poll in like LinkedIn or in a group, tell them exactly where you're using it so that it gives you the right output that you can then utilize to engage your audience. This is so awesome. I have used it and was really, really surprised how well this worked. So you can actually ask ChatGPT to help you develop a business plan for your business, because I am a firm believer that things that are in writing are things that actually get done, followed up on, help you scale your business, help you to train new people. So you can go in and give them, again, I say this over and over again, give them great info, they'll give you great output. Have them write you a business plan. They will do everything from a summary, an executive summary, competitive analysis, action plans, marketing plans. It will do everything for you. You can it's going to be based on kind of best practices, the things that it has found through its learning capabilities that work best for businesses, and then you can customize it as necessary. I have also used the same strategy for fundraisers. So I am the president of the board for an organization called Gigi's Playhouse, McHenry County. And we are just getting into our fundraising season. One of our big events is coming up. And I used it to go in and explain what the event is. And I have very little time to dedicate to that volunteer work that I do. So I relied heavily on ChatGPT to write me up an entire fundraising plan, ideas for raising money prior to the event, at the event, after the event. It did such a fantastic job. I highly encourage you to really try to use it for really robust things like that. It was awesome. Not that I followed every piece of it, but I most certainly used the vast majority of it. And because of the way it gave it to me, I was able to put a really awesome document together for my committee and volunteers in the blink of an eye. It was awesome. It will do the same thing for you if you ask it to help you develop a social media strategy. So it will tell you the types of content you should be posting, when you should be posting them, how to target an audience, ways to organize and batch create content, tons of stuff. So if you're looking to get a little more strategic about your social media plan, give ChatGPT a chance at helping you out with that one. I have to admit, I just used this next one. So now we're into the bonuses. I got 3 bonus ones for you here. We hit our 15. So I was giving a presentation, knew the topic fairly well, but it wasn't about social media. It was actually about nonprofits. So because it's not something I do all the time, didn't have a presentation prepared, I went into ChatGPT, I gave them the title, which, by the way, they had already helped me to create, and let them know I need to do a presentation. I don't want any more than 18 slides. Can you help me to outline what I should be discussing? It gave me the full outline. I did a ton of editing, by the way, but it was a really helpful place to get me started, because if you know me, you know that if I was speaking at 8:00 tomorrow morning, I was doing that presentation about 8:00 the night before. So really helpful for me to be able to do it that quickly because I had an assistant on my side. And hi, Maureen. It's good to see you. This is a good one. Lots of good stuff for you. So thanks for showing up. Hope you enjoy watching it from the beginning. Another thing, and this really went into play with this fundraiser that I was talking about as well, is you can ask ChatGPT to help you with project management. So if you have something going on, you can explain to them what the project is. You may even use ChatGPT to help you outline the various action steps. But it will do that. It'll lay out timelines for you. It'll set milestones that you can share with your team that need to be hit in order to move on to the next phase. It'll give you task lists. You can tell it how many people are on your team. It'll divide the tasks up. So many ways that it will help you see a project through from conception to follow up at the very end. So I have used this for fundraisers and I love it. Super useful. And then finally, my last one is using it for email marketing campaigns. So I'm going to use this example once again for this fundraiser because this was so helpful to me. I went in, it had already been helping me with the fundraiser, so it knew it was all about. And I said, okay, it's time to send my first promotional email. I told it who this first email was going to go to, what I wanted it to address. And I said, it's about this particular fundraiser, and I really want to encourage people to attend, to buy tickets. It wrote that whole first email. Then I said to it, now I need a second email, told it when it's going to go out. And this time I want to focus on something a little different. Wrote the second email campaign for me. And I did a third as well because we wanted a whole series. Now, in all reality, I could have said from the beginning, I need 3 emails written and then outlined what each one of them should have been for, and it would have produced all 3 emails. So if you're doing campaigns and you know there's going to be more than one email, people get really bored if they're all the same, right? Oh, I already read that. You want people to open your content and read it because that is better for your engagement rates, your open rates, makes your email platform all that much more valuable. So by actually utilizing that to do series of emails, you're getting a consistent message, but you're able to ask it to switch it up just enough that your audience is intrigued and still wants to read it every time. And by the way, don't forget to ask it to give you some engaging subject lines that will encourage your readers to open it, right? Be really specific. It will increase your open rate on your emails if you do that. So that was it was probably about 20 tips on ways that you can use ChatGPT to enhance your business. So listen, if you guys are already doing this, I really want to know what you love the most about the tool and how you're using it to save yourself time and money. Drop it in the comments. If you're watching this and you're interested in some more advanced, either a podcast episode, maybe on how to train your ChatGPT, or maybe really diving deep into a training, we would really like to know. We love creating that kind of content for you guys. So let us know in the comments, or get in touch with us. You can find us at Think Big Go Local in all the socials, or on our website, thinkbiggolocal.com. We are happy to put together whatever it is that will make it easier for you guys to be successful and market your business. So with that said, I am out of here. Got lots to do today, and it's Friday, and the sun is actually shining here in Illinois for a change. I don't think we saw it. We've seen it for the majority of the week. So I'll be back next Friday at noon. I'm not sure what the topic is going to be. I think we're going to have to pre-record next one. So it will show up here, but I won't actually be able to answer any questions, because I will be judging a marketing competition at our local college. So anyways, with that, I hope all of you bosses have a badass weekend and a super profitable and productive week next week in your businesses. Have a good one. And Maureen, you have a great weekend too. Thanks, everybody.